Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning. We had a very peculiar,
Interesting morning.
a very interesting morning.
Apologies for the late start.
Yes,
guys. We've
it
just
was.
been having-
Yeah, technical difficulty. Yes. So
What do we want to start with this morning, other than me thinking you're a ghost?
yeah, I could not be seen this morning, and I was wondering, is it something that happened? You know, those kind of movies that you watch and you think that you're here.
And everybody else knows that you're gone.
Yeah, and because I mean, Jamsa said not to talk about it, but I think it's something funny. Like we
Happy
came in
Thursday,
here,
right?
and the camera on the other side wasn't showing me, yet I was over there seated. So it's as though I was a ghost.
Let me make sure that you're alive.
Exactly. That's something that comes straight out of a horror movie.
Listen, you're thinking, why aren't they seeing me? I'm here. I'm
Yes,
here, guys.
I'm here. So anyone who has been in a horror movie or anyone who has a situation of not being seen when you're right there, I have experienced it too,
Call
okay?
in and let us
I
know.
have experienced it too, and so we want to talk about that this morning. But on looking at the news, looking at stuff that's happening, the University of the Virgin Islands is inviting graduates of the CFBC College, the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College, and the Neva Sixth Form College to apply for UVI's scholarships.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know that they have been quite a number of alumni from St. Kitts. So it's good that they're reaching out to them this early so that at least, if you're not sure where you want to go to school, you have something that can, you can use. You can now think about USVI as a university that you can attend. So that's good news. But on a lighter note, I actually wanted to touch on the whole passing of Bobby Cadwell. I'm not sure if you know him because, you're one of the younger ones. But he is known for, I think his best song or his most popular song is What You Wouldn't Do for Love. And they've had quite a number of covers of this specific song, including Tupac. So I just wanted to touch on that, and I've been playing it all morning.
What are you saying? Are you saying that you're going to sing? Is that what I'm
You're
hearing?
definitely not hearing me then, because I'm not saying that at all.
I thought you were going to bust a tune, I thought you were going to be
No.
one of the artists. I could see Candy Frank in lights at the music festival.
Yeah, but
singing
doing
all-
what? Maybe introducing people. Definitely not singing. If you want us to lose our crowd, put me to sing. Strictly bathroom singer, shower only. But no, I was actually playing some of his music this
Yes.
morning. I think I always knew the song. I just never paid attention to the original singer of the song. And then, of course, so many persons did covers of it. You never really stop to think, well, where did this song really originate? But it was Bobby Cadwell, and he passed, I think it was late Tuesday. He was 71.
Okay.
He had been sick for a little while, and then he passed. So everybody has kind of been playing it, and it's all over social media. But
And Sharon was the one who,
including Jamster this morning.
Sharon was the one who actually texted me and told me he was dead. That
I've
was
been
after 2, I think.
Singing the song for quite some time now. Some days when we're off air, I'll sing it for Azard, not to
Yeah, and
torment
then-
our audience.
And we don't want to get a copyright strike.
That too.
You could always do a cover. Covers are very popular, and you put your own twist on it.
I know.
You know
You'll
the-
definitely get my twist after this show.
Just so people know, a couple of the songs that he wrote. He wrote Next Time I Fall. You know that song with
I
Peter
love
Cetera and
that
Amy Grant?
song,
He wrote
yes.
that song. He wrote Heart of Mine by
I
Bob
feel like you're
Scaggs.
trying to make me burst into song
No.
this morning.
You know Heart of Mine, right?
I
One day you say.
oh my goodness,
Yeah.
who sang that song?
Heart of
All right, today's gonna be my
Yeah.
Bobby
Buzz
Cadwell day
Scaggs.
after show.
I think I could
After
recognize
the
that
show.
one.
Yeah.
Scaggs, yeah.
So we want to say, sympathies out to his loved ones, family, friends,
Yes.
close acquaintance, No matter how superstar, how celebrified an individual is, death comes to everyone. And when it does, it's a very awakening process, It's one filled with grief. And so It's how you choose to carry on the moment, in the moment.
Right. Right.
Celebration, deep thinking and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And for persons that you love dearly, that sense of grief never goes
It
away.
never leaves.
It never leaves.
Really never leaves.
It never leaves.
You just learn to cope.
You learn to cope, but
Right.
that missing and that grief
As much
never
as the
leaves.
person was in pain and you wanted them to be out of pain,
Yeah.
and you probably pray for them to be out of pain, it's still a hole.
Yeah,
It really never goes. And then especially like on maybe special occasions or just
Yeah.
memories that you have with them,
Mhm.
it all comes rushing
It
back.
does.
So
It does.
like you said,
Yeah.
deepest sympathies to
Yeah.
family, friends, loved ones. May he rest in peace. But the good thing about music in particular, he has now become immortal. His
Yes.
songs will always live on.
Yes.
So R.I.P. to Bobby Cadwell.
Yeah.
And I will definitely make today his day in my office. My staff is gonna go nuts. So I'm warning you guys early. We're gonna be playing that in the office.
And Jamster, you have this spin cycle after this, don't you? Is today spin cycle?
I do, yes.
So you could do a little- you could
Monday,
do-
Wednesday.
He promised me some specific music today.
But he could do some.
Oh,
of his,
was
you
it
know,
today? I said.
You
Oh,
said
thanks for
Thursday.
reminding me.
Today's
Yes,
Thursday.
yes.
He promised
Okay.
me some slow
He
jams
probably
today.
promised a lot of people slow
Oh
jams. and
no!
other things.
So I'm not special.
I'm not promising any dudes slow jams. That's for sure.
Anyway, Jam, so you could do a tribute to the singer who has passed.
What a novel idea.
Yeah. and
you guys gonna start bickering?
I
Let me bring up another topic then.
Jamso could thank me for these ideas,
Oh my goodness! He is really looking for it this morning. Let me pull up another topic. On a serious note, I noticed that Credit Suisse was having issues too. And
Yes.
it had me thinking this morning. And I remember us saying, when the bigger countries sneeze,
Yeah.
we catch a cold. And recently in the US, there have been quite a number of banks having issues. And they've been trying to cover it down. They're not trying to use the B word, bailout.
Yes.
But they have been trying to cover it down and help them recover. And then yesterday, I see Credit Suisse. The Bank of Switzerland had to loan them, was it 50 billion, 50 million, 50 something.
60, something like that. Yeah, I
Just
did hear that.
to have them keep afloat. So it made me start thinking, what is it going to be like should all of these banks start crashing and failing? I don't know if you remember when they had the whole too big to fail thing that was going on.
15 years ago, actually,
right.
2008.
Right, they all felt they were too big to fail, and of course it was definitely possible. But one of the concerns for me is that we use quite a number of these banks for intermediary transactions.
Yes.
And so what does it mean for us? Because yes, we do have the ECCB, and yes, it's something that has been growing and expanding, but we still have issues with correspondent banking. So what happens if more and more of these banks start crashing? Like in particular, Bank of America, we do a lot of transactions with Bank of America through our national bank of St. Kitts, Nevis, Anguilla. So what happens? And I know Bank of America had issues about maybe a month ago. They were having issues. Somebody hacked their system. Customers were missing funds, and they were desperately trying to put the funds back. So it just sent me down, I guess, a rabbit hole this morning, thinking, what is going to happen if these banks continue to fail and keep it under wraps? Because as much as they accuse China of not being transparent, they're somewhat guilty. I mean, yes, we appreciate the media, but do these people appreciate the media to the point where they will let them know beforehand so that we can prepare? It just makes you think, are we in a situation to recover if something happens to one of these big banks that we do transactions with?
Yeah, as you speak about that situation, my mind reflects on a time not too long ago when there was something that happened to National Bank here in
Right.
St. Kitts and Nevis, where it is, I think that the system was down for maybe a day or something like that.
Right, I think they said, the rumor was that they were hacked, and then
Yes.
of course they denied it.
Yes.
And but the system was down. People couldn't get
access,
ATMs,
yes.
Online banking,
Yes,
balances.
Yes. And so even though we have the technology that has advanced so much to our benefit, we have technology that has also had adverse effects, and the safety of our monies, and it makes me think and wonder, the old adage that you don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
You spread it out, and hopefully in spreading your assets or your monies throughout different banks, you hope that all of them hold up. And
Right.
if
Or even
God,
if one crashes, at
yeah,
least you kind of have a safety
yeah.
net where the other one is concerned.
And there might be persons now who start thinking about going back and putting their monies under their
The bed, right?
Yeah. I mean,
It's-
consideration.
The fact that you mentioned that had me thinking. There's a saying my mom loves to say, and I think she got it from her dad: the stricter the government, the wiser the population. So the more technology develops in a positive way, there are always going to be persons sitting on the back end, creating ransomware, preparing stuff to hack into systems, because with the good comes the bad. It has to be a balance, right? Even though
Yes.
we don't want to think about the negative effects or the negative side, the side effects of us developing, they do exist.
Yeah.
So, every time somebody creates a program to do something else, someone creates a program to override that one.
Exactly.
So it's food for thought.
And, the Norman Manley Law School, they're having their 50th anniversary this year. And a part of the celebrations, what they have done, they have they have highlighted one student since its inception. So what they have done, so for example, the class of 1993, they would highlight a student from the first time that they graduated students. Every year, for the past 50 weeks, they have been highlighting one student from that graduating class.
Is it the top student or just any student?
Any student. I think what they do is that I think the class has a chance to weigh in. I think to that extent, I saw the email, but I really didn't inquire more as to the process. But I just want to highlight that the Premier, Matt Brantley, was featured as a student in his class of 1994.
Oh, that's
So,
good. Congrats to him.
Yes.
And, I'm not sure if I'm happy that you brought up this topic about
Oh, yeah.
Norman Manley Law School.
Yes.
Because I have some serious deep-seated issues with
I
Norman
know.
Manley Law School. What has your experience been like in relation to Norman Manley Law School as it relates to communication, generally speaking? Because that is my issue with them.
Well, as a past student, the learning was good. I must admit, the learning was good. But I could understand what you mean in terms of communication, especially if you're overseas. I don't know if it has gotten better. I guess in your case it hasn't.
No.
But
I hope they're listening.
I find with a lot of even you at a certain extent when I went there, the communication before you go is very little. It's like, what's going on? You're sending
Especially if
things.
you're overseas, it's insane.
Yeah. I remember
You
when
have to call them and tell them, I sent you an email. Can you check it and respond?
I remember when I applied for the Faculty of Law in 2010 or thereabout, and I was like, okay then, because I sent in the application, and here am I calling the school.
Oh,
over
welcome
and
to
over
my world.
And saying,
Did you get my application?
did you get my application? They say yes. We're going to have a meeting next week. So I call.
Didn't happen.
Didn't have it. So, we were supposed to have it, but we didn't have it again. Suddenly I call back again, and they're like, oh, no, we didn't have the meeting. I'm like, but school is supposed to be like next week.
Why does this sound like my journey? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
This is very much what I went through, and it's insane. I actually had a conversation with our new Attorney General as it relates to this, and I had a conversation with our old Attorney General as it relates to this. And because I find, I don't know if I'm being biased, but I find like they give Kititians a hard time to get into their school. And I really hope that I'm wrong, and feel free to
think-
call in
I-
and correct me, or to alert them that they need to do better in their communication, because it really does suck. I
Yeah.
applied again this year, still have not heard from them. But because I'm paranoid to that effect where I track everything and I have read receipts and delivery receipts, I know they have the application. This would probably be my 4th application.
Oh, wow.
So I'm still waiting to hear.
Yeah.
And then they get agitated when you point out the obvious. You must have a system whereby persons know if you have received their documents and it has been processed. And I'll show you the difference. COVID. COVID is a prime example where we had to learn to use technology and everything was heavily dependent on email. So when I tried to get my transcript, because I did my Bachelor's of Law at University of Guyana, when I tried to get my transcript, they promptly advised me there was not going to be any physical transcript sent. There, nobody could come on campus and obtain it, but you could go onto their website and apply for your transcript. When you go on, there's a whole portal where you create username and everything, and you can track the progress of your transcript. So I went on, I applied, wired the funds, and you can see funds received, receipt issued, transcript prepared, exam signed off, bursary signed off, transcript sent to Norman Manley Law School. Then when you contact Norman Manley Law School, they're like, oh, we didn't receive it. And this went on for 3 weeks until she said, oh, the email was in my spam. Yeah, it's here. But in the meantime, you're waiting to find out, did they get it? Am I accepted? Are they going to process it? Do I have enough time if they didn't get it to restart the process?
Yes.
And while all of this is going on, you know what the saying, while the grass is growing, the horse is starving? Yeah, that applies in this situation. And then you never hear from them. And sometimes school starts, you still don't hear from them. Then they say, oh, we didn't get on to you. You'll have to try again next year. Right, because it's free. No, it's not. So I'm not sure I'm happy that you brought up this topic.
I know. I mean,
but kudos to
being there is a small staff, admin staff, very small admin staff. So
use technology to become efficient. I'm not gonna give them an easy pass.
And I'm not going to trivialize your situation because, I think in terms of communication, based on what you said, I think communication definitely has to beef up.
Precisely.
And the processing of persons' documents.
I don't understand it, but hopefully somebody can pass the message on to them.
Yeah. So, in other news, I think we had a commentary. Jamsa shared a commentary in the Island Tea chat. And Jamsa, do you have the? Yeah, we could probably venture into the audio. Do we have time though? Oh, I just realized we could do it later. Then just realized we have 5 minutes until we are joined by Vernon.
Point on the streets.
One of
Vernon
the things
Springer in Antigua. Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to touch base on. I noticed Florida has been complaining. It's been on the news every morning this week about the sargassum seaweed that is now in a 5,000 pound blob floating down towards them. And I'm looking at the news and I'm saying, we've been plagued by this seaweed issue for years now. We've been complaining. We've had persons do experiments seeing how best we could use it because, you can't beat them, join them. And there's nothing we can do to stop it. And it's never been an issue to them. So it's never made their news. But now that it's floating down to Florida and it's all over the beach and they're finally getting a whiff of what we've been through, literally a whiff, because it smells horrible. It's been on the news every day for this week. And you can see all the photos of it floating down and just coming up onto the beach. And of course, beachgoers are disturbed and upset and protesting. It's Mother Nature, so there's really nothing you can do about it. But it just goes to show that, you don't understand something until it affects you personally. Because in the Caribbean, I think it started with St. Lucia. St. Lucia was having a horrible time with it. And then, of course, we had our dose of it. And it was just smelling up all the beaches and everybody was up in arms, but nobody was helping us.
But you know what's strange? As you said that, I'm looking at a news article that is dated back to February 19, 2022, and it says 5 Caribbean countries benefit from US $2 million in
sargassum.
Yes, fight. So the seaweed fight, and it's saying that on Friday, And this is in 2022, February 19th. On that day. Says on Friday, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Lucia gain access to US 12 million 3-year grant aid project entitled the Project for Improving National Sargassum Management Capacities in the Caribbean. So
Well, I stand corrected. They probably did lend a hand.
Thank you. Maybe that is what has assisted our situation here. But
Has it though?
but
Well, let's hope the money goes where it's supposed to go.
this is since 2022, so
You know how these guys do, huh?
But
So-
I know somebody did start a program. I think it was somebody in St. Lucia trying to see how we could turn it into fertilizer. I don't know where we at with that.
I haven't heard.
but
I haven't heard complaints about it of recent. Though.
no, is it that we've gotten accustomed to it,
Or is
or
it
has
that-
it eased up and it's now going to Florida?
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. So we'll touch this when we get
We'll
back.
just take a little break, Candy.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM. Found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
Need some quick extra cash? Play Pick 4 with the Caribbean Lottery for a chance to win up to $40,000. Simply place your bet of $1, $2, $5, or $10. Choose your preferred draw time and play style, then select 4 numbers or play Quick Pick. Visit thecaribbeanlottery.com for more on how to play and to see daily draw results. If your numbers match the draw numbers, you are a winner. Get your Pick 4 tickets today at the Caribbean Lottery agents island-wide. Must be age 21 and over to play.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
You like it?
Stand by. It's 8:30 and we're getting ready to join Vernon. We have Vernon Springer at Point FM in Antigua. Point on the street with Vernon Springer. Good morning, Vernon. What's up?
Hi, good morning to you, and let me say good morning to Azard and to his co-host, Candice Franklin. Good morning.
Good
Hey.
morning.
From
How
Antigua
are
and Barbuda.
you?
Hey, good morning,
Thank you.
Vernon. How are you?
I'm great. It's a wonderful day in Antigua and Barbuda. We're getting ready again for Parliament after 4 grueling days
Wow.
Wow.
at the end of the national budget. As you know, Antigua and Barbuda's budget was presented 1.8 billion EC dollars. Real grueling. It was also the first budget after the general elections. So, the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party's government would have been having a smaller government as compared to what they would have had before. Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown winning a 3rd term.
Wow.
And so the parliament was new for some of the opposition MPs for the first time. I think you might have really had close to about 5 new MPs. And so you had some situations where, a lot of people the speaker had to deal with a number of folks because you now have to understand that you're transitioning now from a political platform into the halls of parliament.
Right.
And so a number of times it would have been a good experience for them. But all in all, I think it went down well. I just wanted to touch on a couple of issues which was raised in the wrap-up
Right. We're
by the
interested.
Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Mr. Brown, where he said, in closing, he complimented his colleagues for the level of debate they presented, but he also raised a number of issues by the opposition members in response to calls for national unity. The Prime Minister said that the country that can only happen when members of the House commit to principle of truthfulness in their deliberations and approaches. You would have known Azard, and I know Lady Franklin has just come into the fold, that in the build-up to the general elections of Antigua and Barbuda, there was a story that was bandying around that the Prime Minister was wanted by the FBI, and that he had also brought in US 4.5 billion cash.
I think there were even videos going around.
Mr. Brown, yes. And so, PM Brown stated that that was a dangerous game to traffic in untruth, misinformation, and disinformation. And I think sometimes, as much as we want to win, we have to all understand that we live in St. Kitts and Nevis, we live in Antigua and Barbuda, we live in the Caribbean. And so you can imagine that you want to defame someone to get into power, and then you still live there. So when you get in, the facts and the stuff still remain there after elections. So I think sometimes we have to be careful. So the Prime Minister himself, he got very, very, very vocal because there was some MPs who came off of the political platform into the parliament, still languishing that same style of behavior. So I think he had to address that in his wrap-up. So I hope that, that can go to rest and we can be able to move on.
Yeah,
because there was a whole issue with Mr. Michael, Azard Michael, and there were videos of that as well going around.
In the bank when he said, "Give me my money."
Yes, yes.
Yes. I mean, and you find
so
that
pretty interesting there.
Yeah. And as you speak about the House of Parliament, you find that a lot of parliamentarians, because of parliamentary privilege, they speak things in Parliament and use the opportunity to speak things in Parliament that they otherwise would not speak outside because of the laws of defamation. And so because they have absolute privilege in Parliament to speak on whatever they want, they tend to disregard the getting the truth and just getting their way out.
Right, drop a lot of innuendos and things of
Sometimes
that nature.
no, even not innuendo, they just go straight to it because they know they cannot be touched in there. Yes.
So Vernon, what else is going on over there? Because it seems like you guys have assembly every week.
Yeah, we haven't had on the point for some time.
There's another. I missed last week, Azard, and like I said, everything was so tight because we had Parliament, the budget, so everything. So let me just give you, Azard, and Candice and Jamster, something which has happened in the past week. And we were talking about school violence.
Yes.
A parent, attacked the principal of a private school.
We were discussing that just yesterday, Vernon, but it's good, Go ahead.
Since then, the magistrate has remanded, said that, listen, that parent is still in custody, and their case will be coming up. They will return to court on Friday, April 17th. They made an appearance, just prior to being arrested. But it's a situation which I think that sometimes we have to be careful. And before your co-host came, Azard, we spoke about the violence in schools and what happened in St. Kitts and what was happening in Antigua and Barbuda. There seems to be a major rise of violence, not just only in schools, but even in our neighbors in St. Lucia.
Yes, I saw Grenada calling that out.
Yes, so it shows in terms of, but I was talking about we as adults. Children look and mimic what we as adults demonstrate in the communities or at home.
Very true.
And if I feel, Azad, that me and you are always having a fight at home, and I can go to the school and I can speak to a teacher however I feel like, that's what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
You understand where I come from? And social media, I find it very strange that on social media people sometimes are defending this kind of behavior.
Right. Because there was an incident of this in Guyana as well. And the parent got slapped with fines from the magistrate, and she was actually remanded as well. And then there was a video circulating of this little child, a little child in a preschool in Jamaica. And he was saying all manner of curse words to the teacher. You could see he was about 4 or maybe 5 the most. And it comes back to what you're saying, that adults have to set the example because children ultimately learn what they live. So if this is acceptable behavior at home, then they're gonna go out into school and other public places and emulate what they learn.
Yeah, and I find that parents sometimes give their children the wrong message. Or if if your teacher hit you, let me know. I'm coming down to school for
Yes,
them. You know,
yes.
those kind of attitude, and so not realizing that the school is an institution of learning, of course, and of course I'm not advocating in any way that teachers and principals of schools are to
Have free range.
free reign,
Right.
you know. But at the same time, you have to teach your children to be respectful towards authority.
Because like Vernon is saying, it's growing. I don't remember these sorts of things happening when we were in school. But all of a sudden, in every Caribbean island, you're hearing parents entering the schools and getting into it with the teachers and the
And the
principals.
thing about it, there is a process. If it is that you feel as though the principal or you feel as though the teacher has disadvantaged your child in some means, you could take legal action.
Right.
You understand? You don't
Right.
have to take the law into your own hands. You could take legal action because at the end of the day, the wrong has already been done, and you go in and being physical doesn't erase the wrong that has been committed
But
to
you
your
know what
child.
it also does? It puts the child in a position where teachers don't necessarily want to interact with that child. So you have now created a situation where your child is being put in a corner, overlooked. Nobody wants to really teach them or interact with them. So they're now at a disadvantage.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
it is something.
Okay. So, anything else going on in Antigua, and then we'll tell you about some of the stuff going on over here, Springer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jamster. In the build up to the general elections campaign, Lady Franklin and Azard and Jamster, the Cabinet of Antigua and Barbuda have received a report of a committee organized to recommend the manner in which waiver of work permits for CARICOM nationals and the Dominican Republic nationals are to be structured. And by extension now, an amendment to the existing law is required, and so too will be the regulations governing the issuance of work permits. The draft legislation is to be submitted to a team in the Ministry of Legal Affairs and brought to Cabinet and then to Parliament within a matter of weeks. This promise was made to waive work permit fees that was made during the January 2023 general elections. And every effort is being made to fulfill that promise as soon as possible. So what would have maybe happened before? We would have had free movement between the OECS. That the government of Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, a number of the countries would have signed off on that. But the government of Antigua and Barbuda, they had an amnesty program for CARICOM nationals and also for Dominican republics. But for a lot of things to happen, you would also have to make some amendments for some of the law, because right now, in order to work in Antigua and Barbuda, you would have to pay a fee. The government is now saying they want to waive that fee. And so that in itself is in a process of taking place. While I'm on that,
What's
there's
the
also a
reasoning?
situation where
What's the reasoning
the
behind
Attorney
waiving the
General-
fee, though? What's the reason for wanting to waive the fee?
What's the reasoning?
Yes.
Waiving the fees?
Yes.
Well, Jamster, people are making a contribution. If Lady Franklin comes to Antigua and Barbuda, she has to rent a house, she has to rent a car, she has to buy food. It's only formidable enough that the money circulates back, and it is pretty hard for, I'm just trying to reference, for WINFM to still pay a work permit fee.
Right.
It's maybe sometimes taxing even on the business, and you would have to understand that cost of living these days is higher, and the government has to also find a way to be able to reduce cost of living, especially to help businesses.
True.
So as much as you want to try to see if you can tax people, you also have to find a way to be able to make people comfortable so that they can employ more people.
True.
And you remember, Antigua and Barbuda is only 100,000. So small private sector. So you have to weigh up all of your apples.
Right. Do we have a figure of what it was and what it is now, or is it just draft legislation?
You sort of dropped out there.
Oh, I was asking if we have a figure of what it was and what it is going to be now, or are they still working on it?
Yeah, they're still working on it. Just to also, while we're still talking about the parliament, and I know this is something that would ignite you, Lady Franklin and Azard, the Antigua and Barbuda government will be making concrete steps on the road to further political development when the government initiates public discussions on two critical issues: Republican status and constitutional reform.
Awesome,
That's something
awesome.
that
That
has
is
been
very
bandying around for some time
yes.
now. So
That is a
Antigua and
very
Barbuda,
that is good, Vernon. And I was just thinking the other day. Well, just yesterday, I was thinking we have talks about becoming a republic, and we have still not even here in St. Kitts and Nevis entertained the conversation about the CCJ. So we still have
Thank you.
we still have appeals to the Privy Council. You understand? And we've had mention about becoming here in St. Kitts and Nevis a republic. But no one
How
has
can you
even
become a republic if we can't even?
no one has even entertained the conversation with
CCJ.
about the CCJ and becoming having our own people at the highest final court of appeal.
Exactly. Cart before the horse, huh?
Politician logic.
I mean, we look at
Go ahead.
Oh, I was
Go
saying
ahead,
we look at Barbados. Barbados is a republic. And Barbados has acceded to the CCJ.
Yes.
You understand? So, I mean, these are models. I mean, in Jamaica, I don't know what their process is going to be. I mean, Jamaica is in conversation about becoming a republic and stuff like that. But they still have appeals to the Privy Council. So I don't know what it is that they are. I haven't looked deeply in what they have been saying and what they're going about.
Right. They just formed a committee when they last had their parliamentary sitting to actually delve into the whole constitutional reform. So I think they're at that stage now where they're finally serious and they're going ahead with it. But I often wonder if it's a fear of the unknown with us Caribbean islands. You know, because what is the hold back?
Yeah.
You want independence, you want Republican status, but you still don't see the bigger picture. Because if you're a republic country, you're a Republican, how, pray tell, will you still, go to the Privy Council? And then I also wonder if it's that we have this concept where anything foreign is better, because these are judges from our jurisdiction, our territory. So what are we saying, that we don't trust their judgment? We don't think they'll make a good enough decision? What is the holdup with
Frankly, I don't
getting
think
the CCJ?
Vernon, guys, frankly, I don't think it's that they don't trust their judgment. They don't want their judgment because the Privy Council, they tend to do things by the book, meaning, well, your constitution says X, so therefore X. Whereas they don't. What happens is that they don't trust our jurors, or they don't think that they'll have the convenient leeway to do all the.
Because I was
all
just
the
about to
bad
tell you
things,
that
all the
our
bad things that-
constitution says this and this is what
Yes,
the law
and they
is.
ignore it.
But I mean, when we look at the Privy Council, a lot of the arguments against the Privy Council that they're far removed from our reality, and they don't understand the day-to-day
The norms,
occurrences
exactly.
in our Caribbean community.
Because what might be something that we, like for instance, in our dialect, a word or a belief that we might hold, they're so far removed from our jurisdiction, they won't understand it. They'll have to go now do research. But if you say that to like a judge that is from the Caribbean, that lives in the Caribbean, and you say, well, when they tell me I'm a dwarf in bed, I remember that was a legal case, right? This is what it means. It doesn't mean that I'm physically a dwarf, and obviously it's you being rude, and it would send anybody off, and it's provocation, and that might have been the reason for the guy to lash out or whatever. But I feel like we still don't trust ourselves.
We don't.
But you know what? I must commend Antigua and Barbuda, because Antigua and Barbuda and Grenada, they have been trying to make appeals to the CCJ through their referendum. I know Antigua and Barbuda had a referendum before, because their constitution, they have to have a referendum before anything is done.
Okay,
Right.
but wait. Let's get back to the heart of the matter. Now, you talked about Antigua, the Republican thing. Are you guys probably? I'm assuming you guys are gonna probably do what Barbados did, where Barbados used the previous year's independence celebration to say, okay, we're gonna be. So, are you guys gonna be using November 1st as maybe the announcement to roll it out and say, well, okay, this might be. Is it gonna be something like that?
I think it will. I think well, from by all means, Jamster. I think the government of Antigua and Barbuda is embarking very much on it. It's something that was talked about, but you also have to look at what happened in Barbados. Mayor Motley made a big move. Her government had won a landslide, and they came in on the back end of that landslide and decided that, hey, we're going to move in that era.
Yes.
The CCJ talk in Antigua and Barbuda, remember you have to have 60% of the population, and that bid would have failed. So you got to understand the constitutional amendment in terms of what's happening.
Yeah.
Mayor Motley in Barbados, she coming out of election, she had a mandate and she just swept it. It wasn't popular. A lot of people made a lot of noise, but the most important thing is that she had the support of the nation, and she made that happen. Very quickly, Lady Franklin and Jamsto and Azard, just two other things that I just wanted to highlight to you very quickly, so you understand in terms of what has been happening. Farmers in Antigua and Barbuda will get a 50% subsidy on water. And this announcement was made by the new Minister of Agriculture in Antigua, who's also the Foreign Affairs Minister, the Honorable E.P. Chet Green. Green explained that the subsidy would be 50%, claiming that it was part of the government's commitment to food security. Now, you know that there have been some water issues in Antigua and Barbuda, and farmers have been going through a whole lot of stuff. It was interesting to listen to you and Lady Franklin talk about the sarcasm situation, which is also affecting us here in Antigua and Barbuda. So she made the point, and I like what she said. It's only when United States of America begins to feel things is when they wake up and understand what we're going through in the Caribbean. Because for the last 4 years, we've been clamoring, even during the COVID, about the sarcasm situation. Yes, the Caribbean governments have got some money, but it's not still sufficient enough to be able to deal with that situation. And while we have been able to close our mouth, keep quiet, and go about and do what we have to do, they're now feeling the whole brunt of the whole matter. But we hope and pray that some sort of resolve can come out of this. That would benefit in a very big way. The talking point in Antigua is, that a lot of investments are taking place in terms of hotels being built close to the beaches. And so the Minister in Parliament, the Minister for Housing, Land Works and Urban Renewal, the Honorable Mario Brown, was responding to some social media discussions on access to a number of beaches in Antigua and Barbuda. And she really had to make some claim to be able to let the folks understand in terms of what's going on. So the Minister Mario Brown said that no owner, developer or occupier of land leading to a beach has the authority to prevent persons from accessing and using the beaches of Antigua and Barbuda. This has been a talking point now for some time, because what you find has been happening. The government of Antigua law has indicated that even if development is taking place, that you cannot block the public access base to the beaches. So what has been happening, some developers have put rocks and stone and debris in certain areas, boulders, where the nationals of Antigua and Barbuda can't be able to access some of the beaches. Now, the Attorney General has come out firm and said that that can't happen and should not happen. And if it does, then the authorities have the rights to be able to go in there, get the bulldozers and remove those boulders. So like I said, that has been a talking point for some time. And it's something
but Vernon, before you go on, right? You're talking about that, and we know that, the law provides that the access to the beaches.
The beach is Crown land. Crown land meaning that the public has full access.
But my thing, you're talking about the Attorney General having to go and speak to these persons. When the persons are given the go-ahead to develop on these beaches, conversations already had to say, ensure that the locals do have access while doing
You know,
construction.
I don't want to think that it's not the case, because I remember when Christoph Harbour
Mm-hmm.
came on the scene in St. Kitts, and at that point in time I was working with a prominent law firm,
Mm-hmm.
and it was part of the discussion that they cannot build and not leave access to the beaches. Even when Marriott came on the scene, and I was still in law school at that point, it was that the public had to always have access to the beaches, but that will not stop them from trying to block the access. So it's a matter of us now reminding them and clamping down and ensuring that that access actually is always maintained. And I remember someone called in yesterday and spoke about that in terms of some of the old condos when they were built, Leeward Cove and those condos on the Frigate Bay strip there. And they were even making a complaint that one of the beaches, a particular beach in the South Friars area, was not accessible on certain days of the week. And so it's something that we need to revisit in St. Kitts, because as I've always known it to be, the beach is Krongland, meaning that you can, all the public has access to it, and it should never be impeded.
There's a question, and you guys as lawyers can weigh in.
But Candice and Azard, one of the things which I feel is happening, is that the paid technocrats don't do their job. It shouldn't have to come down to the politicians, If the technocrats move around, Candice, right, and do their job, then they have the law. But most of them are being bribed, and so they just turn a blind eye on a number of issues.
So
when the public comes and calls in on Win FM and calling on Point FM and the respective stations around the Caribbean, then it brings an awareness to the politicians. But why do we have technocrats?
Exactly. Why do we have to go
who
to
are
that?
But come now, Vernon.
Identifying these problems.
Come now, Vernon.
You have a good point.
There's enough bribery to go around, don't you think? if you get my meaning, there's enough bribery to go around. It's not just the technocrats. Come on now.
But then, as our farmers that visited yesterday so rightly pointed out, we are the government. The people are the government. So somebody has to hold these persons' feet to the fire.
But the other thing I wanted to, Vernon, this is a semantic thing. You talked about the rocks and so being placed, which I think maybe if you press the developers, they say, well, we don't want, we're not blocking you going to the beach, but we don't want you to drive down on the beach. And we've had an issue like that here with Christoph Harbour, so they put the cut-off lampposts so that you can't drive down to the beach.
Right.
And then I think they've put rocks at some point. But does the access include just pedestrian access, or does it include, and that applies to you, and I want these guys to answer that, and you, Vernon. Does access include pedestrian and vehicular? Because, to
your point, in the Christoph Harbour situation.
In some countries, jam stuff.
We lost
Go
you.
ahead.
We're not hearing you.
Go ahead, Springer.
I was saying, Jamster, in Antigua, there's a public where there's an area where you can't block anybody. If Candice comes to Antigua and Barbuda, there's a road, there's a path that is entitled her to lead to go to the beach. So you can't come and put boulders in that area, because as she rightly said, anywhere around the Caribbean, the beach is Crown land. So even though that you are building close to the beach, you don't own the beach.
Right.
But there are some situations in some Caribbean islands where deals have been made where people have bought the beach in part of their arrangements. In the negotiations to bring development, they've owned the beach.
Yeah. In relation to what Jamso is saying, Jamso, in the law, there has something that is called easement. So it's a right of passage. So easement would be that pathway so individuals could get. It doesn't have to be a road itself, but it must be a right of way of passage where persons could easily get to where they need to go.
Yes, but
I think he's asking, is it
but
just
easy
like
subjective, because
right.
Suppose
if
I'm
you
in a
can walk
wheelchair.
onto
Yes.
it, then you don't necessarily have to fight for it to be vehicular. I think in defense, and I shouldn't even say in defense, as it relates to the Christoph Harbour matter, that particular beach that you're referring to, that beach is also protected because of sea turtle nesting. So definitely they wouldn't allow vehicular traffic onto that particular area of the beach.
But who made that determination?
then-
Them
But
or
no,
our government?
it was agreed to by everyone because sea turtles come and they nest on that beach. So,
Okay.
you don't want vehicular traffic
then-
on that beach. You
and
don't
then-
want persons there at a certain
Okay.
time,
Let's look
lighting
at
all
let's
of
look
that.
at some
Fair
beaches.
enough.
There might be some beaches that really and truly in their natural state you don't have provisions for vehicular traffic because there might be some access point to beaches that are just a pathway. Not every access point.
But Azard, you need to have
But
but
something
you need to have public access.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
no,
public
Vernon.
needs to have
I think,
access to the beach.
yeah. I'm not going against public access, but I'm talking about having
level of access.
no, not the level, but having a road that goes there. You don't necessarily have to have a road. Once you
Once
have
you
the
can access it,
yes.
it's acceptable.
Yes,
something you guys said
Yes,
was
yeah.
sparking calls or the call stopped. But if someone calls, we'll try and take at least one
But
call.
to
I'm
this
sure.
same topic, when I visited Jamaica I visited, this was in the Montego Bay area in particular, you had to pay to get onto the beach. The beaches were surrounded in some areas by very high galvanized fences. There was somebody
What?
at
Jamaica?
a particular spot there.
Yes.
And you
You're
couldn't
so right.
walk onto the beach as you wanted to. You had to pay to get access to the beach. And I was so puzzled. I was like, but what happened to Krongland?
I
What
know.
happened to
Well,
access?
we'll have
what,
to,
what
we have-
happened, what happened to the big chat Jamaicans having the reggae songs, the militant big chat? Like, oh, we're not taking this stuff, whatever,
well,
whatever.
Yeah,
Well-
I was so shocked.
well, one would
Lady
have.
Franklin,
Hey, let's take a
we'll-
call.
Oh, we have
Vernon,
a
you want-
caller?
Yeah, let's take a call.
continue this land debate on another day.
Wait,
Definitely.
let's take
We
a
have
quick
a call
Vernon.
just before you
Continue the
leave,
beach
Vernon.
access.
Okay, go ahead.
Just quickly, Jamster. Just quickly,
Yeah. Probably didn't hear us.
Azard,
Yes.
Lady Franklin and Jamster.
Vernon, I was saying we had a caller. You want to take a quick call? We had a call.
Okay, go ahead.
But caller, you have to keep it short, please.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, I'll keep it short.
Yeah.
I think it's high time we reevaluate how we look at our beaches. They are national assets, and this thing about the beaches must have unimpeded access has to be looked at not in an emotional way, but also take into account the fact that because it's a national asset, it can be used for income generation, job creation, and that sort of thing. Okay? And so why not, we, for instance, object to being charged to go on a beach, but we don't object to being charged to go to Brimstone Hill. Why, if we develop a beach, maintain it, we can't charge a fee, right? I'm not saying you do it with all beaches, but certainly another look has to be taken at how our coastal areas are used. And you mentioned sargassum before. Obviously, things like artificial reefs will help to control the problem. These things cost money. So we should really look at how we can finance, how we can use the beach, first of all, as a national asset, and then how we can introduce financing ways, creative financing ways to do the maintenance and development. Okay.
Thank
Thank
so
you
much.
for that call,
Yeah.
Mr. McMahon.
Interesting.
Again,
idea.
Interesting.
as
Azard,
Candace,
I wish we had time because that's an important point that the caller just raised. there.
yes,
Indeed.
How do we find? Because we have to be able to find money to maintain the beaches and to clean up the beaches and all that sort of stuff. And a lot of people tend to go to the beach and just litter
and
religiously.
the question,
Very quickly, Lady Franklin and Azard.
yeah,
Antigua and Barbuda's Carnival, the greatest summer lime, they're launching on the 15th of April. So, Antigua and Barbuda will be moving. There's also an increase in the budget for Carnival 2023. So just thought that I would get
Bigger
that one
and
in
better.
very much. And
Nice.
I also wanted to salute, I see that you guys had on Sir Elcomida Willett yesterday. Sorry, I missed the conversation while it was taking place. So I just want to be able to salute Elcomida Willett. It's 50 years.
Yes.
And since he became the first player from the Leeward Islands to play Test cricket. Since then, Antigua and Barbuda has produced 15 Test cricketers. Montserrat 1 and Gwilla 2. St. Kitts yet to still get off the mark. So you really understand the story in terms of what's going on. But
We'll get
the
there soon,
ceremony, which was
Vernon.
organized by Steve. Huh?
We'll get there soon.
Yeah, the ceremony which was organized by the Nevis Cricket Association and the book that was written by Steve Manners, I thought was really commendable. It is now up to the authorities to make sure that they do the right thing. It's almost like election now that we're talking about. And every time I come, I have to clamor this call that the national hero status be elevated to Sir Kim Collins and Sir Elcomida Willett. I think when you look around of their contribution on the sporting scene and on the world stage, I don't think that we can have any major discussion at the time has come where we need to be able to elevate these two gentlemen to the highest order. I know we're almost out of time,
Yes.
but I want to be able to say thanks again to all the folks in Antigua and Barbuda. I want to say good morning to Uncle T, my uncle, Uncle Terrence Dolphin and Uncle Jabbo and all the guys in St. Kitts and Nevis who continue to give me their support and keep me in their prayers. It's been a wonderful time linking up with you guys, and also to salute all of the Carifta athletes. I see Team St. Kitts and Nevis has picked a 21-member squad that'll be going off to Carifta. So want to wish all the athletes by next week. Antigua and Barbuda is having their trials for Carifta this week, and so I'll be able to tell you how many athletes qualify from Antigua and Barbuda for the Carifta Games.
Awesome. Sounds good. And I know sport is your baby. So when we had Elcomida Willett calling in, I thought of you. So I'm happy to hear that you were listening.
No, he said he didn't get to listen.
He didn't, but he know that when he was here, he did the rebroadcast.
I sent him the card.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, we're gonna try.
Yeah, I was automatically on air, and I know, Lady Franklin, it might sound it's almost a similar situation in Antigua and Barbuda, where Sir MacLean Emmanuel, King Shortshot, we're on a campaign to have him also elevated as national hero.
Right.
Now, King Shortshot has been involved in the cultural business around the world and representing Antigua and Barbuda for 61 years.
Wow.
And is still representing Antigua and Barbuda. About 3 weeks ago, he was in St. Lucia performing. He's 81 years old.
Wow.
So, and if you're telling me that these guys have not done enough to be elevated to national status, then I really don't know who else is supposed to be elevated to national status. But that's another discussion on another day.
Definitely. Thank you so much for linking up with us.
Thanks, Vernon.
Thank you, Vernon.
And we await with bated breath for the next episode of Point on the Street with Vernon Springer at Point FM in Antigua. Be well. It's 9:04.
And Azard, I think your co-host is a good fit for you. She keeps you grounded.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I would say that I selected my co-host.
He did. He did.
Yes.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for the compliment, Vernon.
Yes.
It's funny that he brought up that national hero conversation.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you. Have a good
Vernon.
one too. Take care. Because St. Vincent is now in talks to add females to their national hero. They're going to have the celebration soon, and there were nominations. And the Prime Minister noted that there weren't any women added to the list of persons being nominated for national hero status. And so he sent them back to the drawing board and said, think about some women that you can add. So I'm just putting it out there, hint, hint. Our national hero celebration is coming up in September, and to date we don't have any bust of any females in the park. So something to think about.
I think Candy is saying this because she knows next the Department of Gender Affairs is going to be represented here at 9 o'clock or just here about.
We haven't seen them yet.
Oh, you haven't seen them?
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh.
But I
So
just
in the
want to get it
meantime-
out there as well, because we don't have any female national heroes.
Here's what we're going to do. It's 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. We're going to take a quick break and hear from the sponsor of this day part. It's Tapwater Caribbean. Callers, a lot of you have been calling for whatever it is we said for that last segment. So callers, we're just going to get one commercial and we'll come back and we'll take your calls until the gender affairs people show up.
Found the sound 98.9. Win FM.
Do you want to improve the quality of your water? Is buying bottled water costing you a fortune? Say no to bottled water and yes to Tap Water Caribbean and Espo Water Solutions. We offer eco-friendly filtration products such as our Ultra Filter or our Bottle Pro for at home or on the go. Fill up anywhere. We also have a Shower Pro designed to protect and give you healthy skin. Visit us today at tapwatercaribbean.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Let's drink clean, pure, healthy water together. Remember, go green, save money, and save our planet.
And we're back on Island T. It's 9:07. We're due to have a panel from the Department of Gender Affairs. They haven't arrived yet. They're going to be discussing International Women's Month, their upcoming events. And we had a bunch of calls. Let's go to the phone lines and hear what the callers are saying. Good morning, callers. Go right ahead. Good morning, caller. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Johnston.
Hi.
Your call.
Good
I just want to
morning.
shoot something across the board very quickly concerning the issue of the pathway to the turtle, to the beach, and that's just a flimsy excuse. And the other term talking about easement, we don't want no easement to no beach. We want full access to the beach. That's what we should get. That's what the Constitution say.
But
And you spoke
caller,
clearly concerning
caller, before you go, when you say you don't want an easement, what's an easement? If an easement is
Right.
just a path.
An easement is described as a small passage to access by or close to a person's property.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean.
That's an easement, like a
So it
footpath.
doesn't mean that you won't have access
But-
to the beach.
but-
It's a way to get to the beach to have full access, no?
Yes, but we are not looking at an easement. That easement should not be in that clause. We should have
So the
full
person
access.
that bought the property doesn't have
Easement
any
only
rights?
comes in. Easement only comes in when somebody have the property and they have to get to another side in an easier way.
No,
Precisely. So if somebody
you
bought
still-
the
you
property,
still-
they have rights as well.
if someone buys a
You
beachfront
cannot have
property,
rights where the Constitution say you don't have any right.
where
If the Constitution declare that you have no right to block that entrance,
Right.
you should not have been blocked in the first place.
That's why the
caller,
easement is
caller,
there.
Gonna
caller,
access
there's
the
no,
one
there's
easement.
nothing in the Constitution that specifically says that you can block the beach. Nothing in the Constitution written clearly like that, like word for that, like that.
But something does say that you can.
What it says is that they're property rights. So if I buy a property that's close to or adjacent to the beach, then I have a right to create an easement that would allow the general public access to the beach. So it means in your description, even if I leave a strip or a pathway or a walkway that allows you to get access to the beach, then I am not infringing the law.
And I find that a lot of persons just use the Constitution, everything they think comes from the Constitution doesn't speak about every law specifically. We have what
That
it's
is
called
true. I would
legislation.
agree that it does not speak out loud than every law, but at the same time, there are certain things that should not be done that are being done. And you see, you hear Springer say the same thing. Lots of people are not doing the job that they wanted to do. They push it down to the politician.
Let me ask a
Right.
question.
And I don't
So
disagree
I
with
wouldn't
that
use big
aspect
word
of
right
it.
wing.
But
Let me ask a
Because-
question. Let me ask a
Go ahead,
question.
Johnson. Go ahead.
And well, first I will say, the first thing is, until we address the larger issue of Christopher Harbour being a country unto itself, this is going to be a problem. So, does our constitution allow us to have an enclave in St. Kitts? I want someone to answer that
I
question.
won't be able to answer you because I'm not aware that they're a law unto themselves. So you'd have
Well,
to be
they
more
are.
specific.
Dwyer Asafan was very public about the obscenity of the basically a country unto itself type concessions that were granted to Christopher Harbour. Which is why
you'd have to bring figures and facts to me. I
which
won't
is
be able
why
to
I mean,
comment.
okay, but the point I'm making is until that larger issue is addressed, this is always going to be a problem. Because I remember people made a fuss about the beach thing,
I
beach
do
access.
remember.
And to Azad's point about a road, you don't necessarily have to have a road paved. The point is full access.
And that's what I'm saying.
No,
But that's what I'm saying to the caller. Once
I
you
think
have
you guys are
That is
misinterpreting
the
what
key there. Full
Azard is
no,
saying.
no, but
We
what,
don't want to, and then the other thing,
But
I
But
wanna
the
say-
easement can get you full access because you're
easement-
getting onto the beach.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the easement
They-
gets
But
you
his
full
point is-
access.
Azard never
Those
said
who
about
are
a paved
given-
road.
His point
Listen
is the turtle thing is a red herring. I'm not saying it's not
Yes,
valid.
yes, yes,
I'm not
it's a red
saying
herring.
I'm not saying it's not valid, but there.
So I've done work
they're-
with the
because
Sea
they're
Turtle
conveniently-
Monitoring
It's an
Network in
excuse.
St. Kitts, and I can tell you for a fact that the beaches on Connery and that particular beach, I think you guys are referring to the one at Sandy Bank Bay.
Yeah,
Those are
that one.
nesting areas for sea turtles. I've actually gone out with them in the wee
we
hours
know,
of the
we know
morning
that.
We know
and
this.
done
But
turtle
the thing
tagging.
Is, the thing is, no vehicle do drive on those beaches.
For that specific
The same
reason.
thing.
That's why
No
we don't want
vehicle
vehicles
don't
on
drive
that
those
beach.
because we know. We are educated to the fact that we know that we should not drive vehicles on the
Right.
beaches because of the fact there's a possibility that you could be destroying the turtle nest.
Right.
We know.
Yes, yes.
So
Right.
when they put you a half a mile away to put your vehicle a half away from the beach, and you must walk down to the beach, they're telling you you have no access.
But-
Them out flimsy
I agree.
excuse and they're red herring, and
I
you know
agree.
that.
But where do
But
we park
guys-
on Frigate Bay?
But guys,
Where do we
really-
park on
where do
Frigate
you
Bay? Do we park
Where do
on
you
the
park
beach
on
at Frigate
Frigate
Bay?
Bay?
Or do we
No,
park
but you know
in
what
the
he means,
roundabout and on the
because
green area?
The physical nature of that beach is a little different. There's actually sand almost up to
Completely
the
different
street.
way. You
Yeah,
have
so
lots
it's-
of public
it's a little
always
different.
passing and people
But
you could see you,
let me
your
say-
equipment
let-
outside and the sand.
I mean, I think
Let
it's
me,
now
let me
up
ask
to
a question. Let
point
me ask
of,
a question before
opinion.
everybody go. Let me ask a question.
Right.
Let's say you have a beach area and the area in which you get to the beach is not developed by government at all. There's just trees, there's shrubs, there's bushes. You understand? There are trees, shrubs, and bushes. But you could get to the beach by going through some pathways. Would you say that you have been denied access to the beach because you have
The trees and
shrubs,
stuff
and
are
bushes?
existing?
And the government has not cleared those trees, bushes, and shrubs, so you could park along the beach.
Okay. Azar,
My
let me-
friend, even if you don't want to go to the beach, even if you never go to the beach, it should be easily accessed.
But
for
we're
you.
not
We're not
saying
saying
no.
that
We're
it should
definitely
not be
with you on
easily
that.
accessed.
Everybody should have access to all the beaches in St. Kitts because they belong to all of us. What
And
we're
we only have
saying,
three. We only have three, so we can't afford to give away one.
but we haven't.
We haven't
Which beaches
given-
has been given away?
But I think what
You
the
know,
call,
South
the,
Friars-
I think the caller,
you know,
I think the
South
caller
Friars,
is
try,
the
listen,
call.
try go into Carambola when a ship is out there and you see what happens.
But I
You
go
have a
to
security
Carambola
guard
and swim
telling you cannot come
every
in.
Sunday,
And you know that.
whether a
We
ship
all
is
know
there
that.
or not, and I'm
And we
not
just pretend that we
impeded.
don't
Let's not confuse convenience with access, because I think what we are doing is blurring the lines between
they tell you
access
you
and
cannot come in. Even
convenience.
if you get out, you can't try to walk in, you can't go in. You cannot go in.
Well, I'm not talking about this specific situation, Carambola, because
Oh, well,
I'm talking I'm talking about when
I
I made the mention of easement, and you said that you want more than an easement. I
Well,
think
the English language is a very word. You have lots of different pieces of interpretation where your interpretation, but the valid part of it is to have full access. That's what I'm saying.
And full access in your definition means driving a vehicular
on the beach.
a vehicle onto the beach
Full
and
access means you go when you want and you go whenever you, if you don't feel to go, you don't go. But it must be available access to you. Not nobody standing in front of you and tell you you cannot go.
this is now an
but
issue
no,
that we have.
But
that
that's different.
exists.
That's different from what I was saying with the
Anyway,
easement.
I listen now here because we could go on and on. And we
Fair
don't
enough.
wanna go
But
on
thank you
with
so
that.
much for your call and for bringing out
Yes.
some points that might have been overlooked.
Thank you, caller. You
I
know,
didn't
when
realize that you know, there was an issue where somebody actually stands there and you can't get onto the beach. I've never experienced it.
Let's take another one. Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, to extend that tree, shrubs, and bushes argument. If there were a place where it was a rocky shoreline, nobody goes to,
yes.
and a developer comes and put a beach there, bring in sand and do whatever else, and put a beach there, what rights does he have to control that area now?
I would
Nobody used it before, right? But he made it into a really nice spot with that people would want to go to, whether for swimming or just sunbathing or whatever.
So in effect, there was no beach, but he created it on his
Right.
new property.
What happens there?
So how can it now be considered public property if it was something that didn't exist and he created it on his property? I think what we're discussing are public beaches that were already in existence.
Says that coastline, all coastline is public.
I'm not aware that the Constitution says that, so I really can't even comment to that.
I think what we confuse sometimes is what the Constitution says and what legislation says. The Constitution.
Yes, I guess so.
The
but
Constitution.
But it seems to me only fair if somebody added value to it, then it should be regarded as any other kind of investment where he has a right to charge or control, whatever you want to call it.
But my question would be, was it public property before, or was it private property that he developed into something that now belongs to him? Because remember, we were discussing the public beaches that always existed before persons came in and put a development there. So if it was always public, then you can't come in and decide, well, I bought the land adjacent to or the land very, right there, and so now the beach now belongs to me. So I think there's like a thin line between.
You actually developed it, because I think there's some kind of setbacks that you can't actually own directly the coastline.
Yes.
Right.
There's some kind of setback, but if it's still.
But then,
it still
but you
means
just create
spot.
that access. And when you're developing, you create that access. And I would hope that whoever is developing that land
is
comes with
it.
the certificate of title, and the certificate of title has some sort of restrictive covenants, or have some sort of covenants that says, there would be a right to passage for persons who want to access a beach. You understand? And so.
It does, because even the persons that are doing the survey, remember, everything still has to go through government departments. And so persons in those areas are aware that they have to always maintain right of passage or access to public lands where those developments are concerned.
Yeah, and finally, you had mentioned about the sargassum before. Mm-hmm. Actually, it is still a problem. I spoke to someone who apparently does either hair braiding or something like that on the beach over at the Atlantic side of Frigate Bay by the Marriott. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that tourists are avoiding the area. They can't get work because the tourists are avoiding the area because of the sargassum. So it's still an issue that I would have hoped by now they would have been able to at least control. And the thing is, which is another thing the tourism department might have to look into, apparently vendors can't just move from one beach to another. I didn't even know that. They're apparently instructed to have, I don't know if they're licensed, but to operate at one beach. So they can't just move, let's say, to the Caribbean side.
Oh.
So people are still being affected by this.
Well, this is something to look
it's something
into.
I think.
I mean, I didn't think the seaweed would have ever left us, because I think that the seaweed is an effect of our climate change that we're experiencing worldwide. But this whole vendor not being able to move, this is interesting to me. So this is definitely something that I want to look into.
If it is as was said, it is something that needs to be looked into. And certainly the saga, I think there are ways that you can at least remove the sargassum without, by specially designed rakes and those kind of things, and booms like what they use to control oil spills, those kind of things.
Yeah, it is an annoying...
We don't have many beaches, and the few that we have,
we need to preserve
should really
them.
try and keep in pristine condition.
Yeah, the seaweed thing, it really is a bit annoying to control and to deal with, because it would now mean that whoever is going to be using that beach has to have a specific team deployed just to remove that so that tourists can access it. But it doesn't mean that it's going to stop while they're there.
We have a parks on beaches.
Yes. And they do an amazing job from what I've seen and have experience in my particular neighborhood. So it might mean that they need to expand the team, which is good because it means more employment, and just deploy them specifically for beaches.
Right. Okay. And I think actually the Minister of of Agriculture was involved in using sargassum for something. So I don't know what became of that project. I think there was international assistance for doing the conversion, but I don't know. Maybe that needs to be expanded as well.
Right. I think the director of Marine and Fisheries, Mr. Mark Williams, had spoken about that some time back, and I don't know what really became of the project. So it means we have some research to do. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon.
Okay. Yes. So it's 9:22, and we're here discussing. You know, it's funny sometimes. Sometimes you never know. You never know what topic. You never know what topic is gonna spark off a discussion. I mean, I remember when Vernon was speaking, we had a whole bunch of people calling us like.
Of course, it would be the beach. We love the beach. We all want access to the beach.
Yeah, the beach is something that I think, being from an island, everyone loves and everyone wants. And of course, we're not saying that persons aren't supposed to be getting access. Of course, you're supposed to get access. But it is, and I think the dispute earlier was, to me, would seem like convenience.
What type of access?
Convenience.
When they say access,
because being able to access somebody's property, like for example, if you have two adjacent property and there's an easement and you're trying to access your property, and it's just a small passage to get to your property. You have access to it even if it's a small...
Even if it's just, you can walk down there single file, it's still access. Hello, good morning. Oh, we lost the call. Right, so I think what the contention is the level of access. And that's what I was trying to say to the caller. Because he's saying, I want to be able to drive down there, park up, and walk to the beach. But when you say level of access... to me, access is access. Once you're not blocked. Exactly.
Once you're not blocked, it's accessible.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Jamsto.
Good morning.
And good morning, the lady and my good friend Azard.
Yes, morning.
We're dealing with the beach thing.
Yes.
That beach thing done so since the early years of Bradshaw with Wrigley, you know. But scrupulous politicians come from after Bradshaw and addressing themselves to investors. For instance, Firesby. The car is right. They were saying about Firesby. That guy at Firesby shouldn't get Firesby. Firesby shouldn't be an open beach like Fleet Bay. That used to carry Finky Screen tourism all the years of Kennedy Simmons. And we were successful. But because investors see weakness in some greedy politicians that you're close to them and get them mess up a good beach. Because we ain't have access as such to the beach. The amount of low passengers used to over there. Respectable and causing the problem, giving a service and peace an investor because them a politician before was good, Prime Minister. They just decide they could come and bring their own thing. We should get access to any beach in Sinkit. No vehicle should go exactly on the beach, but we should get access. And next thing I want to talk about and let Win FM know. An incident went on down there at the port yesterday. It should not have happened. Those Indians down there doing Sinkit Navy is a favor. They pay big money to this country for electricity and operating. And when you have got a mannequin outside to show the tourists what they got in this store, you as the port must not move it. You must dialogue with these people and see that they make money because me want me social security, you know. Me want mine, man. If you want in a jam stuff. But when I don't work, I want mine. The port duty is to make sure they facilitate these people. Not use a heavy stick and stop them from making money. Yesterday, the people were so traumatized. The people have been going in the stores because they're watching the mannequins them to see what a store selling. this one to the Jews them. They cannot do that. And then when me and Bon Kitty can talk, people are watching me bad, I will watch me bad enough. Because they lock up for down here. It's me who show on our we Kennedy for that. When I lot of ISR wanted. So when I see the wrong, I will point it out and talk. Jamster, my good friend and the lady.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good day.
You
This is
too.
Jam Down.
Later,
But don't
Jam
watch
Down.
PFC, no, Barney.
Thank you so much for your
Yes.
call.
Yes.
I'm not sure. What happened at the port yesterday?
I'm not sure what happened at the port, and of course, there's some. I think I'm not sure at all, but I know when it comes to access to beaches, persons have heated conversations about it, and again, access, being able to get to that area.
Maybe we need a sensitization campaign, but it would also be good for that campaign to highlight
not saying that
what
not saying
each
that,
person
yeah.
involved rights are.
And not saying that, of course, when it comes to the accessibility, I think it's more in terms of down at the Fires Bay area. It's not like the Figure Bay area, because the Figure Bay area, you have the pathway there that you just along the coastline, you have the strip and you drive across on the strip and stuff. So it's not the same structure, so to speak. And perhaps in the way in which the construction is made in the minds of persons, they feel as though, well, I can't really get down there. So maybe, but I'm not saying either, because I don't know the situation where the security there might turn off persons as well.
I feel like it's a specific area, because if you're thinking about the entire stretch of South Friars Beach, there's another section where you can drive and park and walk down to the beach. So I feel like we're getting into specific territory. But I also want to say that I think we need to revisit the issue.
Yeah.
And there needs to be clear communication across the board. What are the rights of the developer and what are the rights of the public? Because somewhere along the line, something went awry and people are being infringed. And I'm not sure what brought that on and why it's persisting, but it's something to look into.
Yes.
The beach has always been a bone of contention, so it's something that we definitely need to keep at.
Definitely.
I'm not sure.
So I want to
happened
say
with
that
her.
yesterday a caller called in. I got.
Send the call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Concerning discussion out the beach, I want to encourage you all to take the emotion out of it by getting someone from the planning unit to be on the program for next week to discuss what the laws or the regulations says as against what we believe.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's take another call. Caller, go right ahead.
Hello, good morning to everybody there on the panel. The
Hey,
beach is mine. I supposed to go there and bathe anytime.
I know that song.
Don't care what they say. I supposed to
Bathe
go
there
and
any
bathe
day.
anyway. You know the whole thing, it's right. You were able to walk around at one time.
Pretty sure that was the case.
Huh?
Yeah, pretty sure that was the case until development
Yes,
came
but
by.
when that place put down out there, can't to jam down just say because under the table deal. When I went there time go paid down there by shipwreck, I hear somebody say, you can't go around there, you can't go around there, bro. Excuse me, where you have? That's the beach. You can walk the whole around St. Kitts. You were supposed to able, I must that time to walk around, you know. People in my place to go down on the seashore and walk around, go camping. Young people when the holidays, they enjoy that. Some teachers take them out hiking. I don't know who give them authority. Next thing, vendors, people go down out there, go do the massage. He ain't want nobody thing the table, use nothing. You know, okay, the people got their own table, sorry about it, but the umbrella and all them things there. How one man could control fires but like that? That shouldn't be. He gone there to make a money, which he don't have 1,000 million already. Well, you happen to the poor young woman who got she rent to pay and everything. Can't go there. Many times a girl call me and say, Miss, help me there, go on here and talk about this, The man, no want nobody come. I said, no, you see, he was doing something, before the last Labour Party closed down, They look like they stopped him because he was just up there, empty place. When as this party win again, wow, he start back again, not on the beach, but well and good. God is so good. One day the water come and pour everything go with it. Because it's not supposed to build on the sun. Build it on the foundation before you meet the beach. I don't know who would tell them, give them yes, he born here, let me, it's supposed, because he tall and he white and he clean, suppose all the authority. Who to fool them? How much money he gives to any country that everybody don't give the tax? Me got to pay tax. At my age, me supposed to have to pay other people to pay. So we need to, I bring the planning unit and, bring him
but
and
Carla, as well, the laws of the Federation, I mean, they are available there. We know that as citizens, we have a right to access. That has been something that is clear. So we could have a discussion where we look at the laws of the Federation and we look at legislation and we look at case law, and we could bring an informed discussion which is planned at another avenue. But it would...
like again, these people are building right on the edge of the sidewalk. No. Yeah. You were supposed to have a little 2-3 feet for people to walk around. And we have a sidewalk right down there in Buckley. You can't walk around here, and that's a deadly thing. Vehicle come down, woof, woof, woof. Knock you in your back, show you down on your face, run away if they want to, they just should be outside. That ain't supposed to be.
That's
in
building
England,
codes
that
now.
don't happen. Don't care gold in your house, look at here. The government send a bulldozer and push it down. Even though they got to remove it, they make them say, right now, do not build on your edge of your fence. Your fence is your fence, and the government sidewalk is the government sidewalk. And I think if they nip it in the butt, that them don't want to happen. People coming right out. They passing the bone.
Right, building codes.
And nobody do nothing to it. Doing nothing to it, so me, that's why the man could go over there and take up all the praise. Yeah, have a good man.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
Okay, okay, great.
We're supposed to have a guest.
Yes, but we're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsor, and then we're gonna get ready for our upcoming guest, Dr. Henry Charles.
Yeah.
Do you want to improve the quality of your water? Is buying bottled water costing you a fortune? Say no to bottled water and yes to Tap Water Caribbean and Espo Water Solutions. We offer eco-friendly filtration products such as our Ultra Filter or our Bottle Pro for at home or on the go. Fill up anywhere. We also have a Shower Pro designed to protect and give you healthy skin. Visit us today at tapwatercaribbean.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Let's drink clean, pure, healthy water together. Remember, go green, save money, and save our planet.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Hey kids, drink healthy! Reduce sugar chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors, drink the more healthy way.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Be active, be healthy, drink lots of chubby. Kicking, football, playing cricket, having fun in the sun.
It's chubby.
Reduced sugar chubby keeps you cool and refreshed.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Jumping rope, running races, have fun.
It tastes so yummy, chubby.
Drink the more healthy way.
We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
And we are back. The phones are going crazy. I don't know what's going on. Let's go back to the phone lines. Okay, that one is gone. Back to let's see. Caller, go.
Hello.
Caller, go right ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Henry. How are you?
Oh, giving God thanks, man. Sorry, I'm just calling to report that up to now I have not received the filter thing I want from the tap water.
You haven't?
I have not. I mean, I think that's a Frank Farrell took it.
Which one?
And my number is 465 3645.
3645.
Jamster, you know anything about this?
Yes. I spoke to him and he said he knows where you live. But then at the time we didn't realize you didn't live in the village anymore.
No, she
I
lives
live
in
in
Newtown, Neverson Street.
She lives in
Neverson
Newtown.
Street. Okay.
Yes, because I was saying, since you live in the village, could I give it, if he's listening,
Yeah.
could give it to Leo and Jerry Warner shop?
Okay.
To put on my street?
That's a good idea. So your number 465
3645.
3645.
That's why I called.
Okay,
Because
we'll
I
look
like to
into it
get
to you. We'll look into it for you.
Thank you so
For
much.
sure. Okay.
Have a good day.
Okay.
Thank you.
thanks.
Same to you.
Yes. So as far as I know, our guest, Dr. Henry Charles, should be coming. So let's hope he shows up.
It's via Zoom.
It's via Zoom.
That one is via Zoom.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think we should call it. Let's just talk in the meantime. We have another call. Let's go ahead. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, Jam down again. I was forget to tell you all about what went on down in the port. The Indians then, after COVID, we realized down there that the stores them ain't getting the tourists to come in the stores. So the Indian them come up with mannequins that they could put what they're selling in the stores outside. So when they come down from the arrival hall, going to run barrel, they could see. And when they're coming back from the excursion, they could see. And the children them, they see petitions in the state with St. Kitts Nevis t-shirts. And they hate the money because me police down there every day. I down there, you know what's going on. Yesterday morning, 3 ships and islands, so much tourists out the blues. They bring security, move all the people kind of peace. Did they make the money yesterday? They have big rent to pay. They got the government electricity to pay. This country and that port must make money. I'm calling on me Muslim friends to erase that. When they're giving people certain jobs, they must give people with experience, you know.
What exactly happened? The police came and they removed the mannequins?
Not the police, the port security.
The port security came and removed the mannequins that were outside the stores?
These people contribute a great deal to the economy. Every 10 cents spent from a tourist is what the economy tells. A warning the jury swelling, I don't abuse yourself picking up. But do the right thing. Have a good day. This is Jam Down. I don't want to feel.
Thank you so much for your contribution. That's interesting. Maybe a reporter can go investigate and produce a news article. Because until now, I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. So,
right, so
it's been such a heated morning, I must say. So many topics of discussion, and
I'm getting messages for Jamster as well on my phone. Somebody wants to know what happened to the prizes from Valentine's.
Jamster?
Well, that's not me. I handed over the numbers to management, and
feel free to make the comment on air so you can clear the air.
Yes, I did. Yeah, the numbers were handed over. So someone was supposed to call either the people providing the free stuff, or usually it's the people providing the free stuff. Let's take another call. Caller, go right ahead.
Now, in response to what Jam Down is saying, when the people rented or bought the building, they were informed that there was to be no hawking down there. They know. So whether they're Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or whatever, what they are doing is against the rules. As simple as that.
So
They've
it's
come
a
against it
matter
in more,
of
in more
them.
than one thing. Hello?
Right. So the issue is that they rented the store, but they were told that they couldn't put stuff
They
on the
knew.
sidewalk, basically
Because
impeding
they
the
had issues
sidewalk.
when they were giving out name tag and stuff. It is against the rules down there. You can't have no choir, you know what it means. Dr. said in the Virgin Islands and in St. Martin, where people stand outside the stores
Right.
and, invite you to come in. You can't do that down on Port Zante. So when the Indians are making noise, they know they're wrong. But, even that call and another one, we become the voices of the investors against our own interests, and we got to be careful about that, eh? I'm sure Jamdang knows, because there have been issues where the same set of people have been trying it, have people standing outside the stores and passing out flyers. It is against the rules of doing business on Port Zante. Just in case he forgot. I know he mean well, eh? I know he mean well. Let them come and talk for themselves. They go to the one with the beach. I had a personal experience. One time my husband took me and our grandchildren down to the same place. And we were asked to come out of the water. I said, you crazy? Yes, Mrs. Henry. Nobody could bathe up here now because this afternoon we have this is morning, But the problem started with Dr. Denzel Douglas. Let me call his name. In 1995, this is not any politics, eh? In 1995, there was a Southeast Peninsula Board. I don't know how many of you remember or know. Do you know that?
No, I'm sorry.
The board was responsible for the proper development of the Southeast Peninsula. It was set up after the road was built. They monitored the kind of construction, whatever you could do over there. When the government changed in 1995, the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Denzel Douglas, closed the board, took all power for development in Frigate Bay and the Peninsula onto himself. So anything could go down in Frigate Bay. All you needed was the approval of the Prime Minister, not the Minister of Tourism, he did it. So when people could put house on beach and tell you come off a beach and don't come here and don't come here, he knew, and people keep defending, I am surprised at Mr. McMahon. You order people to come out of the water. You said the land is yours, all right, the water is yours? I was so upset, So when you walk to me saying, that thing, because that is how they do. So when we have leaders who we elect or voted for, who canton, who give consent, I had to call in on the radio, another radio station. Wait, I don't know.
No, go ahead.
When the people for Southeast Peninsula came on and were advertising private beaches were being offered overseas if they purchase land over there.
Miss Henry, I have you understand.
All right,
No, before you go, you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you understand our position where we were talking about the easement. Once you have the right to access, you have to have the right to access to the beaches.
I understand the right to access, but you are the people out of the water and you can't go in there.
Yeah, and that's something that's something very
just
different.
Crazy.
That's not what we're saying here. If you catch what I'm saying.
I know, but the one he broke over the people buy the land and own the land.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some people in the areas,
Yeah.
for their own selfish reasons, would go and disturb and annoy and
Yes.
destroy.
Yes.
We bear that in mind. But when you apply that rule to the general public, it's an offense.
Mm-hmm.
All right then.
Thank you
so
for your
much
contribution.
This beach thing definitely needs its separate topic, and
but I think persons
we need to sensitize the
I
public.
I think persons when it comes to the beach, and I think persons need to just understand the right to access, and we are not saying that that person should be. And she made the clarification. She wasn't talking about right to access. She was talking about when you're in the water and person's telling you come out, or when restricting that right.
No,
Do you
no,
understand?
that is definitely different, and it's crazy.
Mhm.
I think what needs to be said or brought home, everybody has rights. What are
Mhm.
the rights? So the person that has bought the land and developed it, whether it's on the beach, adjacent to the beach, wherever,
Mhm.
that person also has rights
Mhm.
as a buyer.
Mhm.
We as the public have rights. And
Mhm.
so everybody needs to be made
And it's
aware
a
as to
balancing
what
of
their
those rights.
exactly what their rights are.
Mhm.
So we've already agreed that the beach is Crown land and it's free to the public.
Yeah, and
so
that
you
there should be a
must
right
be
to
able
access.
to access it.
Let's take another call.
Now, what that access means is what seems to be the issue. Hello, good
Caller,
morning.
go ahead. Hey, caller, go ahead.
Hi, John. Sir, it's a funny situation because you are giving me easement to what is originally mine. How can you take something from me and want to give it back to me and call it easement? To me, my access should have not been trampled on in the first place.
So they shouldn't have
You
sold the
shouldn't
land.
have control and access to that. And so you take it up now, and then you're telling me you're giving me easement. How can you give me what you never had?
So
you
they
not have owned it
shouldn't
in the
have
first
sold
place.
the land adjacent to the beach. We
I
should
am
leave
talking
it.
in general. What we have in general, the general public have supposed to have access to the beach. And where you going to get there? Where you could use a helicopter then, or you could get there using a boat.
But
That's what you're telling
access
me?
again.
What you're talking about, I don't understand because we're not.
I am saying to you
Yes.
that there should be clear access.
But
to the
that is
beach.
what we are saying as well.
Nobody want to drive on the beach.
No.
But
But Carla,
what
wait,
really
Candy,
your
before you
definition is
no,
access?
Carla, before
Okay,
you go.
I think this
no,
is
but that's what we're saying. We're saying give you access.
agreeing.
So
But-
that's why I don't
Okay,
understand
okay,
what
well,
you're
we say the same
talking.
thing.
We're
Okay.
saying the same thing
Okay.
because we're saying give you access.
The thing is, here's a sticking point. Maybe if I explain, well, not explain. If I give an anecdote, it might make it clearer. I think I understand what he's trying to say. We used to go Sandy Bank Beach a lot when we got married first.
Yeah.
And that was before they put the lampposts, they buried. And we used to drive down to the edge of the shrubbery. So like we drive, okay, like the path, the sand
yeah,
path,
we
and you
know.
have the bushes. So we never drive out right onto the beach per se. We just drive down to the end of the shrubbery and path, and then we'd get out and then we'd put down our
Right.
towels and stuff. No, so I think what he's saying, and my thing is, I feel like that should not be hindered either. I understand anything about the turtles, but I don't think the turtles
This
come
is
up
not
that
even
far.
with the
We're not talking
turtles.
about the turtles. Let me give
You
you a
guys are missing the point, and I think that is what is
Let me
the sticking point.
make a further example.
Yeah.
Maybe one that is easier. Okay then. Jamsa, you familiar with Old Road?
Yeah.
Okay, familiar. Old Road is a village along the coast.
Yeah.
They are very. There's some areas there. Where the police station is stationed right now.
Yeah, up that side street, I think.
No, it's at the main
It's on the
road.
main
It's on the main
Yeah,
road
it's
now.
on the main
Okay.
road, and in somebody's property they're paying
Okay.
rent. So
Mhm.
along that way, there's a stretch, and there's actually vegetation currently now, right? And persons could walk along the vegetation and get to the beach or the bay, which
Mhm.
if you want to use, say the bay,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so I could walk now because it's just trees and so, and I could get on any access. But that doesn't say that persons don't own the land
exactly
along
that
the
you're
coast.
walking on.
So let's say someone was wishing to build a property there now that is now occupied by the shrubs. There would be an easement created. So because you have always had access to the beach, you have always had access to that area, so there would be a right of way where you have that easement. But
Which
the person,
could be just a passage or a footpath
Yeah, to
because
get to
the
the-
land is still available for sale. And you shouldn't. So that's what I was asking the caller. Are you saying we shouldn't sell the land because you still want access to the beach? But what to your
And then
definition is access?
Yeah, and then-
because access doesn't mean a paved road where you can drive down. If you can walk down to the beach, that is still access.
and then along the way, you're going to we're looking at it at the southeast, but there are coastal areas in the countryside where at this point in time might not have a structured deal which gives persons access to, to go to and fishing and go and do this. But it doesn't mean that the land, although now unoccupied, isn't owned by somebody who may develop their property and therefore would create an easement, a right of way, a right of passage. So you could still get to the waterway, but they will construct their way in a way in which that they could utilize
And
the
it
land
could be
as
that,
well.
like you're saying, the land is already belonging to someone, but they just haven't developed it. So people run away with the notion that all of this is free for us to access and do what we want with it until somebody puts a property down.
And we're not saying denial of access to the beach, because
Not at all. I would never agree to that.
So and because we know that you have a right to access the beaches, and that is clear.
I think that the issue remains what persons view or interpret access as. Because Jamster is saying, they used to be able to drive very close to the beach, so it's a shorter walk in. Because I think a caller before said, why do I have to park and walk half a mile to get to the beach?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, legally speaking, you're still not being prevented from going to the beach.
But at
There's
the same
an
time,
access.
when you think about it, it's a very passive-aggressive move to put those posts there. Because let's be real.
And then
them
when you look at Christopher Harbour, they fall under, because at the land registry, they fall under the planned community. There's a legislation called planned community, and they would have fallen under somehow. They were structured in a way to fall under the planned community.
But the thing is, we have to let's.
So they are also governed by legislation.
Yeah, but let's put this in perspective. We know them folks treat animals better than they treat black people, huh? So let's just be real.
That is not what we're discussing, though, because it's not a them folks issue.
No,
the issue is, do you have access or not?
But if it wasn't a them folks issue, we wouldn't be having the problem with the monkeys that we're having now.
But Jamster,
I do not subscribe to discrimination in any way, shape, or form. So you're not gonna drag me into that conversation. What I will say is, I subscribe to the law, and if the people are keeping with what the law says should be, I can't jump on that bandwagon with you.
I'm just saying, putting the post is kind of passive aggressive. I'm not saying drive down on the beach and thing, because all I
see your point with the post, but can you walk to the beach? Can you get to the beach if you need to get to the beach? Can you go into the water and swim if you need to do it?
Yeah, but
so then you have access.
Yes, but I just think instead of putting the post that you can't drive down, how about you put a sign?
So say what?
A sign that
saying don't drive down, because we are so adhering to signs and the laws.
Maybe you could say don't drive further than a particular. You could put another sign.
Okay, so here's something that I'm glad you said that. So I've been having issues. Where I live, the yard is fenced. The fence is right there. I park right on the outskirts of my fence. And recently, I've been having persons come in and parking underneath my window, right where my window is located. Yeah. And I've called the police several times. They've only shown up once. I've called them several times. It makes me uncomfortable. Sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning, a car is parked there. 7 o'clock in the morning, it's
on
just
the public road.
It's right on the outskirts of my property. So I maintain that spot there, and I park there. But I park on the front of my yard. So this is at the side of my yard where my bedroom window is located, and it's very creepy to me. Okay. I called the police. They came. They said, it is very creepy, because what is to be noted. Where I live, there's a roundabout right across from my house that is free, empty, always maintained by Parks and Beaches. Across the road, there's an abandoned property and a big slot of land that is empty and available. Persons can go park there.
You have a caller?
They're online. Yeah, they're online.
Sorry, we didn't realize. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I want to say something on the issue of access to the beach. This issue of access has been around for quite some time.
Yes.
And every successive administration just kick the can down the road a little further when the issue comes back up. Now, I think that it's time that they do the necessary consultation.
Yes.
Go to Parliament and make whatever amendment they have to make.
Yes.
And get the protocols in place so that the rights and responsibilities of both parties, meaning the public and the developers, could be very clear and put this thing to rest.
Exactly.
Because
Do a
if they don't address it, it is going to continue.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Okay,
because it's
I-
exactly what I've been saying. Get the parties involved in, have a sensitization campaign, let everybody be made aware of what their rights are, and let's move forward from that. But back to what I was saying. So persons are parking there. It is part of my property, and it's the property that I maintain. So recently, I couldn't deal with it anymore, and of course, I can't put up a sign saying no parking there because nobody's going to pay attention to the sign. So I planted some trees there, some shrubs there. And do you know what happened yesterday? Someone drove and still parked there, even though I have stuff planted there to stop them from parking underneath my window. So when I got home, some of my plants were bruised and destroyed. Mind you, like I mentioned, there's parking on the other side, and there's no need for them to access there to get onto my property. So you saying it's passive aggressive, it might just be that this is part of their property and they're trying to protect it. But within doing that, they've still created an access. So who's right, who's wrong, and how do we maintain this?
Yeah, true. Hey, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about quick before I go. I sent you guys a link concerning the Sargassum funds that were provided for St. Kitts Nevis. We could probably discuss that tomorrow, but this is a topic I wanted us to address. We could probably go into in depth on this tomorrow because I'm sure the listeners will be interested. You guys know about the San Francisco reparations move.
Right, I did see that.
So a reparations recommendation is before the San Francisco officials on the list. $5 million to every eligible black adult, eliminating personal debt and tax burdens, guaranteed annual incomes of at least $97,000 for 250 years, and homes in San Francisco for just $1 a family. And that's from AP News. I had sent this to y'all last night.
So
Yes. I'm going to see if I find some audio overnight.
It would be good for
and
us
then to help us
expound on
to
this.
set it up and talk about this reparations move in probably the most progressive state, not probably the most progressive state in the United States.
Of them. Yes,
so you expect these kind of things to be happening there. Someone on CNN was last night was saying they don't think it's going to go anywhere. It's going to get tied up in court. So
San Francisco always seems to be at the fore of pushing things of this nature. I remember when the whole facial recognition issue came about.
Yes, I remember that.
They were one of the first to implement it, and then at some point in time they had to do away with it because it was infringing on persons' rights.
And let's read this quickly. Like I said, we'll get back to this tomorrow. But someone was sharing this when we were talking about the Sargassum problem earlier. Montreal Farms, owned by the farm owned by the Minister of Agriculture, will utilize. This is an excerpt from the thing I sent you guys. Montreal Farms will utilize this repurposed Sargassum for local organic farming. St. Kitts and Nevis, while being one of the smallest nations, has a long and rich history in agriculture. Our aim is to build upon that legacy, positioning the country once again as a mecca for sustainable food production and efficient production techniques in the region, said Samuel Duggan. So I sent the article. I'm gonna go over that tonight as well, and we can have discussions about it. I didn't even realize that there was a move to use sargassum as fertilizer.
And I mentioned
What-
that
I
the
remember
director
that.
of
When-
Marine and
what
Fisheries.
year was that though?
It's 2021.
2021.
So, but the
so it's 2
article would
years
say all
ago.
that. Yeah, the article will probably.
But
get
the
into all that.
director of Marine and Fisheries, Dr. Mark Williams, did do a piece on it and repurposing sargassum.
Yeah.
So there have been moves to use it to the best of our ability and for our benefit.
Yes.
I'm just not sure where the campaign is on that, but I know that there were moves.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we didn't even get to Dwyer's commentary.
Yeah.
So we do have.
Well, look at that. It's 10:01.
I'm telling you, we do have a lot of stuff to cover. So I listened to Dwyer's commentary last night, but I'm gonna try and find some audio as a setup for the reparations thing in California.
Okay.
And then I'm also gonna. I guess we could take the night to read over the
We've
saga
had
something.
quite an interesting morning.
Yeah, it was a pretty good show, I must say.
We'll definitely bring back the beach topic. I honestly believe that there needs to be sensitization because persons feel like
And I think
they're
persons-
misinterpreting the access,
persons
and
need
they
to-
feel like the beach is ours. We should all, but what everybody has rights.
Yeah, you have.
So the developer has rights, and the public has rights.
And it's all about property rights and balancing the rights of individuals. It's a balancing mechanism. Yeah.
So we'll schedule that for another day, and so we can expound on the topic.
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess get everyone on the same page.
Yeah.
It's funny, you never know you never know what's gonna set off the callers.
I think sometimes when you use, I think persons might misinterpret what the term easement means, and it's a legal term. And
so pull out the word easement and say access, but then what is access, right? How much of an access do you want? If you wanted to drive a big party bus down onto the beach, is that what you would consider access, or just being able to get to the beach is
and then
considered access?
let's look at the Frigate Bay area. The area is rented along the coastal lines to bar owners. Before we had the beach bar owners, the persons had that longer stretch, the whole area. Yeah. They no longer have that area, so to speak, but they still have access to the beach. You understand? And they still have access to get into the water. But of course, that doesn't mean that you could go on the area where the person is renting the bar and say, well, this is my area, I'm here.
Because it's on the beach, exactly.
You're on the beach.
Again,
I'm going to come in and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that.
Okay, guys, 2 minutes after 10 o'clock. I got to wrap it up.
Because he has his spin cycle. Actually, before, when we didn't have voices, he would say, we could go on a little bit more because it's a juicy topic. But now he has his spin cycle, and he's cutting us off, Candy.
Listen, I love when the two of you start with this.
It's 3 minutes after 10 o'clock, so no one can accuse me of not being generous.
This is true. We've gotten a whole 3 extra minutes, Azard.
Exactly.
Thank you guys for joining us today. It has been a very interesting discussion.
I should tell you guys.
I look forward to more.
I have rescheduled Nevis Gender Affairs. They're going to be on with me at 10:30, so we're going to do that at 10:30. So if you guys
our guests. Oh my God, the spin cycle is coming full circle.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
Oh man.
Let us go to the break.
Have a good one, everyone.
Trevor is breaking, so he could come back with our guests.
Our guests.
Yes.
Well, tune in next, guys. You'll get to see the guests that Spin Cycle stole from Island T. The Nevis Gender Affairs Department.
We'll claim against him.
At least you get your dance music. I'm gonna do it 1 o'clock.
Don't let him bribe you. We're going to bring an action against you, Jamstar.
we Bobby Caldwell, consolation prize. I mean, Bobby Caldwell was going to be there anyway after the news at midday.
Guys, it's right now we're going to break from Island T and we're going to come back just with Jamstar, and he's going to have our guest from the Gender Affairs.
Thank you for tuning in to Island T. Yes. Have a good day today, everyone.
Okay, guys, Spin Cycle is next.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
Spin Cycle 98.9 Win FM.
My type of music.
Black Sands Music Festival presents Knock Shore Night, featuring international